Happy holidays, art fiends! Welcome to a very special winter-themed video. I really wanted to do something to celebrate this time of year, but I didn't want to do something that was themed on a specific holiday that is celebrated. There are so many different things to celebrate this month, whether it's a religious holiday you follow, or it's just a time to celebrate the year with those close to you. Luckily, there are a lot of winter icons that are common during this time of year that aren't solely based on a holiday of some kind. In line with the idea I had for this year's Halloween video, I thought a fun thing to do would be to turn more items into human characters. With that in mind, I welcome you all to Winter High School. Located in a place that snows no matter what time of year, every student that graces these halls is based off of a different winter-themed object. In this video, I'll be creating 4 different characters based on 4 different objects: a snowflake, a snowman, and skis and snowboards. So strap in, because it's time to go to class. To start off our winter school, we're going to transform the wonder that is the snowflake into our titular popular girl. With my references for both the object and some clothing pulled up, I started by planning a pose for this character. Channeling the rude popular girl stereotype, I went with a pose that could show she was judging you just by how she stood. With the pose done, it was time to draw the actual body. I really wanted these lidded eyes for this character, pushing this personality through the face alone. The pose stayed relatively the same as originally planned, the only thing really changing being the hands. I decided to have her left hand holding onto an over-the-shoulder bag instead of being in a pocket, and the right hand continued to hold up a phone. I just took a long time to get the hand to look right. After many failed attempts at doing it from memory or by looking at my own hand, I finally looked up a reference and got a hand that didn't look terribly broken to me. With the body ready to go, it was time to add the defining features. I found a reference of this fashionable winter clothing that I used as the starting base for what she would wear. I really wanted to have her jacket falling off one of her shoulders, as that's something I see a lot of fashion-forward teens doing with their outfits. Some of the changes I really made with the outfit compared to the reference was giving the jacket a fluffy collar and edges to help relate it to the fact that a lot of snowflakes together make snow. I also gave her a necklace and earrings in the shape of snowflakes, as well as a clasp on her bag in this shape as well. Finally, it was time for the hair. Trying to think of a way to show a snowflake with her hairstyle, having sharp edges seemed to make the most sense. Snowflakes branch out from a center point in their design, so I thought of giving her this big spiky ponytail to mimic that look. Continuing the idea of moving from the center, I gave her a center part to her bangs, as well as making them spiky. Going into the line art, I cleaned everything up and added little details like freckles and the dots in the eyes to further represent snowflakes. With everything ready to go, it was now coloring time. The color blue in general is going to play a big role in a lot of these designs, since it is heavily used to represent things that are cold. Since this was taking place in a normal high school, I didn't want to give any characters any crazy anime hair colors, so thinking of what colors I could use that are natural but can still relate to a snowflake, I decided to go with really light colors for both the hair and the skin. So she became very pale and has very light blonde hair. However, since blue is a natural eye color, I decided to make her eyes an icy blue color, making the dots in her eyes almost white. Next was her clothing colors. Trying to keep the palette simple, I used the same light blue that was the inside of her eyes for all of the fluff on her jacket. As for the main jacket color, I started with the brown that was in the reference, but I decided to change it to a blue later in order to keep her color palette very focused on blue. Her jeans were easy since jeans are normally any tone of blue. I made sure to keep it on the lighter side since I was going for soft and light colors for her palette. Her shirt ended up being the same color as the jacket's fluff, and the bag started that way, but I changed it to be a bit more of an icy blue to differentiate it from the rest of the clothes. After changing her jacket to the same color as her eyes, I filled in all the different snowflakes with a white color. Next was her phone, which I made rose gold since I always associate that phone color with preppy kids for some reason. Her shoes kept the light blue train going, making them the same color as the shirt and the fluff. Then it was just adding the fun parts, giving her some blue colored makeup to bring it all together. And with that, Snowflake, the mean popular girl, is complete. Next on our list of students is a snowman. Known for being a jolly, friendly figure in the media it shows up in, I knew the snowman had to be the class clown. Someone who is extremely goofy, but everyone else loves having them around. Not to mention, wearing a top hat every day to school is definitely something that a class clown would do. With the personality in mind, I got into posing the character. I wanted him to be interacting with his hat, and in a pose that showed he was in the middle of telling some dumb joke. Snowmen are just mounds of snow stacked together, making them always very round and fat looking. So in this human form, he had to be on the larger side to reflect that. Sketching out the body, I didn't really change anything from the initial pose. I just left the hand on the head blank for now until I got the hat in place. So it was on to giving him clothes. With my reference, I knew I wanted to keep the top hat and the scarf. To represent snow, I decided to give him poofy curly hair. The rest of the clothes came when thinking about winter clothes that would make him look even puffier. I decided to go with one of those puffy winter vests, also adding the 3 buttons that are usually given to snowmen. His undershirt, I just went with a normal long sleeve shirt, and for his bottom half, I figured a class clown type would have no idea how to dress himself. So I decided to give him sweatpants and some snow boots. If the top hat didn't give it away, this boy has no fashion sense and will put anything on if he's comfortable in it. I then got into the line art, cleaning up everything and making it all readable so I could start with colors. Starting with the reference I had, I liked the yellow scarf a lot, thinking it would make a perfect accent color in what was definitely going to be a very blue heavy palette. I also made the hat this very dark blue, since top hats are usually a very dark color. I will also make the stripe on the hat yellow as well, putting that color in multiple places. I used an off-white for the hair at first, but I did want to go more realistic, so I made that the color of his undershirt instead. For his hair, I decided to continue with the darkness of the top hat and use that for the start of his hair color too. This meant the hair was now a dark brown, and when thinking of a skin tone that matched, I thought making him a darker skin would make sense. This also related a bit to the orange carrot nose that a snowman has, since brown is just a dark orange. For eyes, I went with that dark blue to imply the button eyes, but I also ended up giving them an orange gradient at the bottom to include that orange from the carrot even more on the face. That dark blue also was used as the button colors in the jacket as well. For the rest of the jacket, I used a dark blue to contrast with the light of the undershirt. His pants became gray since they are sweatpants, and that also added more light parts to his outfit. His shoes, I kept that dark blue trend going, making it the dark color of the hat and the accent of the jacket. With all of that put together, I had finished Snowman, the class clown. So with these last 2 characters, I decided the best way to go about it would be to design them at the same time. Based on the 2 winter sports of skiing and snowboarding, these 2 would be our twin jocks. Since there are 2 of them, I decided to pose them back to back, showing off their personalities as they stand next to each other. On the left, there is the sister, more of the loud type of jock. On the right, there is the brother, the more laid back of the 2. So that they could match in some way, I decided they'd both have an arm up, the sister pointing while the brother throws up a peace sign. With poses ready, I went into building their body. I wanted their eye shapes to be the same, pushing the fact that they are related. I like the idea of droopy eyes for a jock, since they usually aren't the smartest of character types. With the face figured out, I went through and fixed up the pose for my original idea. After struggling for a while without a reference to use, I ended up putting the sister's arm on her waist instead of crossing her arms. With one of them down, I went on to the brother's body next. I wanted him to be really tall and lanky, but since he was lined up back to back with his sister, having him bend over became a bit hard to figure out. I wanted their backs to touch, but if he was bending, this couldn't happen. So now that the bodies were ready to go, it was time for clothes. I found some references for outfits these athletes normally wear. I really liked the turtleneck that the female reference had, so I decided both of them would be wearing one. For the sister, I went for an open jacket, the sleeves of her undershirt being longer than the rest of her jacket. For the head, I also liked the idea of the knit cap, since it could also be representing a helmet without outright giving them helmets. With skis in mind, I went for a symmetrical split in her hair. This was in relation to the fact that there are 2 skis and 2 poles that you need, instead of the one board that is a snowboard. To keep up the split, I decided to go with 2 braids as well. Going into the brother, the outfit was going to stay relatively the same in order to have the 2 of them match. So he also ended up with a knit cap and turtleneck. I decided his jacket would be closed to add some differentiation between them. I kept the bangs the same on the brother as well, but instead of 2 pigtails, I went with a single ponytail, this time to relate back to the single snowboard. For both of them, I gave them really baggy pants and sneakers since they are in sports gears. For both of them, I gave them really baggy pants and sneakers since they are in sport gear. With the sketch done, I then went into cleaning them up in the line art so we could get right on into the colors. Starting with the undershirt, I decided to go with white once again to keep this trend going. Next was the hair and skin color. I decided to go with the dark parts of the board as a starting point since I knew that the lighter colors would be more in their clothes, and this may be the only place to get some of those darker colors in their designs. For the eyes, I decided to use that main blue that was in the images of the boards that I had. Going into the clothes, I really liked the sea green color that was on the jacket of one of my references, so I made that the main color of the sister's jacket. At first, I gave her a stripe of white, but once I figure out what the brother's clothes will look like, I change it to match the pattern that he has. As to keep the palette simple, I used the white on the hat as well as on the shoes. I then added some blacks to make it so that her hair wasn't the only dark part of her design. I added this to the shoes and to the sleeves of her shirt. With the sister done, I had a good place to start for the brother. The skin, hair, and eyes were all going to be the same, but the outfit was going to be inverted. So his jacket became white, while the turtleneck and hat became this dark teal. When looking at my reference images, I really liked the splotchy pattern going on with the snowboarder's jacket. To get that design on the brother's jacket, I picked one of the many rougher brushes I have that when I make a single dot, it would create this blotchy pattern. I then drew over the entire jacket and pants, giving this outfit this pattern. Since I did want them to match, I went back into the sister and changed the stripe to also be this splotchy pattern, except with the colors inversed. With the pattern done, that brought me to the end of these winter sport siblings, giving us ski and snowboard, the Jock Twins. Here are these 4 characters, all based on different winter-themed objects. And this also makes the start of the class of Winter High School. I always have a lot of fun with these types of challenges, turning objects of any kind into characters. Let me know in the comments who your favorite student is. If you could make a student in this school, what winter thing would they be based on? And what would their high school stereotype be? If you like my work and you want to see more of what I do outside of YouTube, please be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, both at PM_animation, which is also linked in the description below. This is the last video for me from 2020. I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who decided to subscribe during this year. I never would have taken the chance in making these videos if it wasn't for all of you. You have made this year a lot better than it would have been otherwise. With that, like, comment, share, and subscribe. All of the things that the YouTubers say. See you all in 2021. Peace.